Hey everybody, and welcome back to another week of the MBL's Preview and Pick'ems. My name is Jason Krell, and I'm here with Toast to give you another look at the matches we have coming up this week. But before we do that, and before Toast even says hello, we're going to go ahead and look at how everybody did last week. So Toast, now you can talk, and why don't you tell us all the things?
Well, gloriously in first is me, because I am the best analyst. Joined last, we got Harvey and the MBL fans. Oh, and wait, Cabu's down there as well. Didn't even realise. Who we got next in, Jason?
Next up, we've got Ben and Juan at 3 and 11. And then we've got myself, Mr. Avematic, at 14 and 10, a respectable 14 and 10. And then after that is Wits and Tailwind, who are at 16 and 8, nipping at Toast's heels.
Nah. We're going to lead off from the pack today, or from this week on. Like, it will just be in my dust, so it's going to be fine.
I can't even say that you're wrong because we picked the same thing, so... Let's take a look at the first matchup this week. We got Team Subs versus Team Mythical, and I think, wow, we just have, what, 2? No, I can't count. We've got 4 people who picked Subs. Okay, pretty close week.
Team Subs versus Team Mythical is a hard one to call, not just because they're doing the worst, technically, no offense to either coaches. It's just that Team Subs did have quite a dominating win over Team Blue Hornets, but then Team Mythical kind of got shafted out of a win with Team Jamie.
Well, and they've shown flashes of success, too, throughout the rest of their games. Not all of them, but in some of them.
Well, they did fantastic. Like, the Guzzlord put in so much work with Team Wii Disney.
I know, it's almost upsetting to me as someone who barely understands Guzzlord. I picked them as not only to get their first win, but as my lock. I am that confident in their ability to win this week.
A lot of times you see them bring the same 8 mons. I can understand if they're solid, but a lot of stuff is getting left behind, like the Rabombi. And have we seen Rabombi or Chandelier yet?
I know we haven't seen Rabombi, but I'm fairly certain we haven't seen Chandelier. I think this could be a good week for it.
Definitely.
It's really hard to say what they would leave behind. Part of me would say like Gorgeist because you don't want to double up on the ghost weaknesses.
And especially with Shift Tree running around, like...
You have Crobat with, Brave Bird would be really good on the Gorgeist. There are plenty of things that can counter either option. They could bring the Chandelier.
Chandelier has a relatively free time. The only problem is Seismitoad is the only thing that's hardly stopping it. But then the only problem I see for Team Mythical is the Clefable. Clefable is extremely hard to deal with. We can see how bulky it is.
we trade. Usually I'm the one who's like, yeah, Clefable, man, that thing's impossible to get around. But actually this week, I think even like Mega Metacham is going to be able to hit that thing with a stab psychic attack super hard. So I don't think Clefable's that scary this week.
My only problem is Clefable next to Mega Lucario.
I mean, like, I wouldn't mind seeing like a physical Nidoking. That would actually match up fairly well against Clefable and Lucario. You could Earthquake, you could Poison Jab. You could Acid Downpour that Clefable, be pretty strong, physical.
Poisonium Z Landorus just nuked it. It was gone, blinked, disappeared. And obviously that can easily happen again. And the Poisonium Z Nidoking's going to hit even harder with a stab.
I think that's definitely an option. I actually don't think that Lucario is all that scary this week, if only because this is actually part of the reason why I picked Team Mythical, because they seem to have so many different options for it. They have Garchomp, you have Metacham, you've got Nidoking, you've got Chandelure. Top row, like, handles Mega Lucario, so they have many options.
Well, Cresselia, I definitely agree with you, walls it. No, not completely, but like it hard checks it. But in between a fighting move like Close Combat, a Steel move, and then Ice Punch, near enough everything dies on their team.
Right.
Near enough. Obviously, Chandelier has a free time because it resists all 3 of those moves. But then if they don't bring something like Protect, they can run mixed. It's going to be able to really punch through their team with just those 3 moves alone. So it's going to be very scary.
Yeah.
Medicham is such a scary threat with doubling its attack stat with pure power. It is incredibly scary. Everything's going to be 2-hit KO'd if it's neutral with a fighting type move. Like a high jump kick just decimates people.
And as far as team sub options, let's see. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see like what they're going to be able to rely on here as their answer to a lot of their teams. So like that's why I think Mythical has the edge, is because they have Pokemon that answer a lot of different things on Team Sub's team. Their matchups are more one-to-one as far as what handles what. Team Subs, I feel like, doesn't have the ability to check a lot of the threats on Team Mythical's side, whereas Team Mythical has the other way around. However, what I think they do have is a bit of edge in terms of just playing. Joe and Marty, again, have been improving every week, which has been really nice to see. But I just think in terms of advantage, I would give that coaching-wise to Luke and Callum.
That's a fair enough shout.
So it'll be interesting to watch. Next up, we have Team Juice and Team Dreamball, with everybody picking Dreamball except for you, Toast, and Ben. So why don't you tell us why you are confident in the 9th place team to beat the 2nd place team? Because I'd love to hear it.
It's called gut feeling. I was looking at the teams, and I'm super confident in Dreamball each week. Even though they've been bringing the same ones, I said this in the Discord server, like, yeah, they've been bringing the same ones because someone like bashed them for it. But they've won every single time they've won with it. They've won in a unique way. But then there's just a part of me is saying, yeah, even though Team Juice are 1 and 3, the Blue Hornets game could have gone completely different, and obviously they got hacked out of another game. That's like what I'm seeing. But it's not a case where Aegislash can put in a lot of work. They got a lot of counters to it. They got the Zygarde, they got the Heatran, they got the Drifblim, they got the Absol, they got the Scrafty that can all hit Aegislash.
Quite the list.
Yeah, it's a huge list, and it really is, but I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I feel like their team has enough of a solid matchup, and if their head's in the right place during the match, I know Kenny was talking on Twitter and stuff like that, how he's a bit tilted with it, and he's not really, like, he is still feeling it, but like, you can tell, like, the couple of losses have gotten to him. But if their head's in the right place, I really do see them winning.
Yeah.
I'm that confident in them.
I don't necessarily agree. I think that this is not a kind of team you bounce back against. Team Dreamball is too strong. They've clearly shown so many different kinds of mastery with their team and the way that they've been able to run it successfully. And their games haven't been all that close. I don't know their differential off the top of my head, but there's a lot of 3-1 teams, and they're, I believe, in the lead amongst all of them. So that definitely says something. The whole top row of Team Dreamball pretty much works together to check the whole top row of Team Juice. And I don't think that it quite checks it back. I think the Team Juice is going to have a really hard time maneuvering their board into a position where they're able to gang up on one of Team Dreamball's Pokemon. And Team Dreamball has shown that they're great at that. And I think that they're just going to be able to maintain that advantage, and they'll take an early lead, and I don't think they're going to give it up.
Well, see, I think Team Juice, if they play like how they used to and how they're strong with, they've been able to get up Tailwind, they've been very strategic. I think in between Tornadus and Crocodile, actually, if you think about it, Crocodile does a number on the top row. I can see that as being a very good combo, to be honest.
And there is something to that. I do think, though, that Team Dreamball has ways, like they have Tailwind options, and then they also have the Trick Room. I just don't see it happening this week for them. I want to.
Team Juice have shown a very good Switch game. It's not like you can sleep on them. I think it's just the case that they have had a bad week. I can easily, if they didn't get hacked out, or if the Blue Hornets way went a bit different, I could have easily seen them being 4th or 5th.
I think that if they won, that would be awesome for them, and that would surely break whatever tilt Kenny thinks he might be on, but I don't know if it's happening this week. Maybe next week.
Alright, before we rip each other's throats out, let's go to the next game. So we got Team Drinking Bads versus Team Flawless, and this is such a diverse match, but I honestly thought it was going to be, well, a lot more closer, but everyone thinks Team Drinking Bads except from Tailwind and Ave.
I don't think it's anything against Angus and Beryl necessarily. It's just last week they had a bit of a rough match, and for reasons that we all understand. But meanwhile, Tommy and Lorcy have been playing so well. They're in 3rd place, right behind Team Dreamball. I just think usual threats that you would see on Team Flawless, things like the Magearna and the Hoopa Unbound, aren't necessarily the most scary things this week, just considering how many things can handle them fairly well.
I honestly don't even see it coming, to be honest. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't see
Magearna?
it coming at all. I just don't think it does enough work to warrant it. And everyone's so scared about taking it out, they can almost use it as a bait. Obviously, everyone's seen what it can do. So everyone has to go, right, we have to have a contingency plan for Magearna. So they can use that against them, not even bring it. In between their Sun mode and Pheromosa being an extremely quick bug type, like, you don't even really have to hit Hooper Unbound that hard. You can just hit it with a random HP bug, and most of the time it dies from like a strong special attacker.
You don't even have to. They have 3 U-turners. Like, even if Team Flawless brings out the Togekiss or the Parasect and is able to redirect those attacks away, you're not going to be able to get that damage off on Hoopa, but you're still getting out of the field and can switch into something that can take those hits. And then Magearna, yeah, is, like you said, super weak to the Sun mode and also Landorus.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, now that you say it like that, we saw a super heavy switch game from Drinking Bads. Because if they can shuffle in Intimidates with Landorus and just Volt Switch out with Heliolisk, they can shuffle themselves into a better position if they want to, and it just chunks a lot of their team.
I mean, Intimidate is really good against a lot of Team Flawless. I actually think something like a Scarf Landorus could come in pretty handy here, just for that exact reason, because just get in, drop the Intimidate, then you turn out real quick and switch into something bulky like a Venusaur or the Metagross or the Blastoise, choice to eat up these hits, and I think they're just going to kind of do it methodically.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised seeing something like a red card Blastoise. It does a lot of what the red card him on top does, except from without the Intimidate. It does all the support moves, and then you can U-turn into it, and then if you get hit, you can switch right back into it for free, Landorus, and then set up another Intimidate, so it allows them to have more maneuverability. Angus is my boy. Like, I want him to do so well. I consider him like the best friend I have in this league, but I honestly don't see them winning this, which is a shame, because I said, like, oh, you have like a relatively free league after the first couple of weeks, but now I don't think I've chosen him either time after I said that, and I feel bad, but honestly, I want to get these points, and I don't see them winning this, unfortunately.
Well, let's try and think of a situation where Team Flawless can win, because it's doable. We don't see it, but it is doable. They have options, so it'll be interesting to watch, but do you want to move on to the next one?
Certainly. We've got Team Blue Hornets and Team Cyberbaz.
Finally got that win on the board. I'm loving seeing that one in that position.
And this is going to be another match where I think I'm blasphemous and you're going to oust me.
Hey man, I can't complain. You all got the Magic 6-0 last week, so apparently you're the one with the sight, not me.
But to be honest, out of this, it's very diverse. I didn't think it would be this diverse with this matchup. I thought I was going for a crazy outside pick. It would be me and maybe someone else with Blue Hunters, but no. Juan, me, Tailwind, Kabu, and Ben all choose Team Blue Hunters with me. So that gave me a bit of confidence.
That's definitely more than I expected. Like, a lot more. I guess like I can kind of see why you think they have a good matchup. Their ground core, Steelix and Hippowdon, seems really good here.
Both of their cores seem super good. They don't really have anything on the Dark or Ghost side that really hits the Psychics that hard. They got the Steel typing in Jirachi to hit Tapu Lele relatively hard, but with the Oxys outspeeding it, that's going to just do a chunk. With the ground mode as well, I just don't see Volcarona being that much of a threat to them either. If Team Blue Hornets can predict, like, will they predict to do what they're going to think that I'm going to predict, if you know what I mean? Do they think we're going to lead off with our Psychic mode or our ground mode? Let's lead with the opposite to what we think they're going to think we're going to do. It's very high level prediction games, which is very hard to do, especially against such a decorated team as Cyberbaz.
I don't actually see them buy into that game. I think that it's much more likely they'll just bypass it and go for something relatively safe, like an Mega Aerodactyl lead, getting up Tailwind early.
With like Raichu next to it faking out.
Well, I don't even know if you need that, because what do they really have? Nothing is going to be able to taunt it. So, like, the only thing you'd have to worry about is a Rangaroo going for Trick Room, which we haven't seen since, I think, like, week 1.
Does Deoxys not get taunt? I have confirmed that 1, Deoxys does learn taunt, and 2, is base 150 speed in its normal form. So that means it's speed ties with Mega Aerodactyl, because now with obviously how Mega Evolutions work, they get the speed boost straight away. So it comes down to the thing of them thinking, will they have taunt? Are they going to risk the speed tie to taunt us so we don't get the Tailwind up? And that can create serious mind games, which I think it all comes down to in this kind of style of play in leagues. It just comes down to, do they have that? Will they do that?
Even beyond that, I think in that turn 1, you kind of have to, because Team Cyberbaz's strategy will rely on having the speed advantage, and Team Blue Hornets' strategy will rely on denying them that speed advantage. So you really have to both go for it, but then it comes down to this 50-50 roll where whoever gets it is going to have such a huge advantage that they might just be able to snowball the win from there.
But even so, if that does happen, I feel like Blue Hornets is in the better situation with their Trick Room mode, with a Mega Steelix and your Rangaroo. I feel like that if that happens, they have a better contingency plan to carry on and then get the win.
Yeah, if we see the Trick Room mode, and I do actually think that if they're able to get the Trick Room mode off, it could be really good. I see Cyberbaz winning. I think that they'll just probably set up Tailwind and bring something threatening like Jirachi. I don't actually see them setting up. They don't really have time. They're going to be under so much offensive pressure that I would like to see them just go for things like Z moves instead and just try and take knockouts fast and early. So basically what I'm saying is I expect them to try and take an early speed advantage, go for big knockouts, and then use their bench to kind of switch in as needed to protect their team. You kind of get what I'm saying. Like Raichu would be a good switch in to protect an Izumiro's Thunderbolt and things of that nature. Although now that I'm saying this, it's mostly just reminding me what a good matchup that Rotom Heat has against Team Cyberbaz. So,
quick note though, on another thing defending Blue Hornets, is that Team Cyberbaz likes to play a very, very priority-driven game. We've seen a lot of fake outs, we got the Prankster, and we haven't even mentioned Psychic Terrain.
It's a bit of a problem. Maybe Raichu learns Electric Terrain. I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's counterproductive. It's a move slot that you can have with something else, and is something that you can easily just switch out on and then just switch back, just to get yours back up.
So yeah, you're right. Psychic Terrain is going to be a big problem. And so that's why I think that I don't expect that setup game from them for that exact reason. They don't have the priority. They're just going to have to go for raw speed and raw power and just try and bully Team Blue Hornets down, which is not their usual modus operandi. They like to play a more finesse game. So do you want to move to the next game?
And this one has been a game I've been waiting for. Team Wii Disney versus Team Not Schooled. And me, Tailwind, and Kabu are the only one that choose Not Schooled. And Kabu is that confident he even locks it. Everyone else chooses Wii Disney for obvious reasons. I can understand their 4-0 is easy to pick up. And Duncan does have the lock on to Jason. If he doesn't choose him each week, he's getting fired from being an analyst.
No, that's it. What's actually really funny about that, at E3, I was able to hang out with Duncan and Beryl, and we got dinner, and so we were talking about the MBL, and we were, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but we were sitting down, and he goes, Jason, he's like, if you want a sure pick this week, don't pick Team Wii Disney, pick Team Not Scald. Me and Shofu don't really know what to do against their team. We're not feeling very confident. Even hearing that, I looked at the matchup, aside from just blind picking them because they're in first place, I think they have a good shot. Even though Shofu and Duncan may not be confident, I am confident in them and thus pick them anyway. So there, that's a good story. Boom.
There's one big factor. Joey and Envy taught Duncan how to play singles.
This isn't singles, this is the MBL.
No, I know, but how you play as a player doesn't really switch that much in between doubles and singles, I feel. Because I was a very aggressive singles player, I'm a very aggressive VGC player. Knowing how someone battles is a huge part of how you're going to tackle someone. Envy and Joey will probably know how Duncan thinks and their tendencies, and then it comes down to the similar thing. Shofu and Joey have spent the last eons with each other and battling each other. They both know each other very well. Not just a case that I feel like Team School has a great matchup, I feel like they'll be able to play a better mental game.
I didn't know that Duncan learned from Envy and Joey, and I mean I did know that Shofu and Joey have been around, together forever, but I had just been looking at these teams. I'm like, look at some of these matchups that Team Wii Disney has. You have things like Tapu Koko hitting the Celesteela, hitting the Suicune, hitting the Garchomp with like a Dazzling Gleam, hitting the Buzzwole, hits the Malamar. It's just super good. Yeah, the electric terrain isn't great in terms of helping out their Alolan Raichu, which I'm pretty confident in that we'll see this week, but I think that it does a lot. Then you have the other Tapu, Bulu. Gyarados is super big here, being able to intimidate those scary attackers. You have Prankster Tailwind, which I think is going to be huge. I actually would not be surprised to see Nutskull go for some kind of Trick Room option, just because it's a sure thing that Team Wii Disney can get up Tailwind if they want it. Team Nutskull doesn't necessarily have that same luxury. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think Team Disney has a better matchup. Team Wii Disney has so many options and how they approach this matchup, and that might be why they're not as confident preparing, because they're not sure which is going to be the best choice to bring. Whereas Team Not Scald, I still think that they are going to want to bring their usual Pokemon that we've seen, which is the top row, maybe the Alolan Raichu, maybe the Cradily, maybe the Malamar.
You forgot the key player that's going to be in this match. Comfy.
Tailwind just did a backflip in his bedroom.
But Mental Herb, Trick Room, Comfy, I can see doing a lot of work. You have stuff like Floral Healing. If it's in grassy terrain, you can heal your own monsters 75%.
That would be pretty dirty. Okay, I could see.
Helping Hand. Imagine a Buzzwole in Trick Room with Helping Hand boosts.
Yeah.
What's living? What's living? Tell me one thing that lives. Nothing. That's the right answer. Nothing. Get rid of the Magmortar. Celesteela has a relatively fun time. As you said before, like, they've got stuff to punish both of their terrains.
Team Wii Disney has so much damage. Team Wii Disney has threats on threats, and Team Scald has just threats.
There's one we forgot to talk about. I don't want to give Team Wii Disney any more praise, but Howlucha does a lot of work here. High jump kick, hitting Malamar for neutral, destroying both Buzzwole, Leaky. Also, we saw what they can do with the seeds. Obviously, Electric Seed and Grassy Seed does the same thing, but just getting the unburden like that, getting the plus defense, being a bit bulky, hitting like a metaphorical truck. Well, not a metaphor, an actual truck.
Howlucha is good.
Do you want to move on to the next game?
Let's do it. It is Team Jamie versus Team Leaky. Europeans going at it. Expected more people to pick Team Leaky with me, but I'm alone, except for Ben.
I was very nearly. I think I was supposed to choose Leaky. They did say in the interview that if you're waiting for Miller to ruin one of their mons like they did last season, keep tuned. I feel like they're referencing this match. But then I heard other sources saying stuff about they did a very dirty trick back to them. So it's just like, oh no, which one? Like, they both done bad things to each other, so I don't know who did the stuff worse to them.
To be fair, I like basically flipped a coin. Their teams are, I don't want to say it's it's a mess in terms of like trying to figure out who has the advantage, but it's a mess. It's kind of all over the place. You do have some cores in terms of like Team Jamie. They have sand options. They've got fake out, setup, Porygon Z, and then Team Leaky has their cores with Necrozma and Follow Me and this and that. I don't want to say there's not a sense of coherence on both of these teams because they've created one. It's just kind of patchwork.
Well, I wouldn't call Team Jamie's one a patchwork team. They got one of the most teamy teams going. Actual looks like a VGC team. If you went back into VGC 15 and you looked at Team Jamie's team, obviously take out the Victini because you can't have that. Superior, Porygon Z you saw, Tyranitar actually drilled together you saw, Mega Blastoise you didn't see as much. I don't even think that's going to play a major part in this matchup. I really don't. I think Superior is going to have a breakout match. Blastoise, I feel, will be able to support their team as a Mega very well. It has a very good matchup here. Beedrill is a bit scary here, but as long as you can deal with the Beedrill, I feel like they'll be fine.
I don't know, man. I don't even know how to talk, like where to begin with this. Like I'm looking at Team Leaky, and so to me, their Trick Room option seems really appealing. And Jamie's demonstrated that they're not afraid to play in the Trick Room, but I think that could be really good for them. You know, they can fake out Ambipom, set up Trick Room, switch into something else that's slow. Rhyperior doesn't have the best matchup, but maybe in tandem with something that can follow me, it could do pretty well. It hits the Excadrill, it hits the Victini, it hits the Yanmega, the Tyranitar, the Rotom Fan, it hits the Dragalge. It hits a lot, and so that seems like a fairly attractive option. Sylveon also good in a lot of ways. This is going to be a bit of a slugfest.
It's like you take me down, then I take you down. You take me down, I take you down.
Right.
The Sand mode does really well against the Rhyperior and then the Sylveon, but then Gyarados has a really fun time dealing with both of them.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of trading. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot of chunking and then switching and just all that kind of stuff. And so that was what made this so hard to call. I don't really see where one team gets an advantage and then just 4-0s the other team. I think it's going to be a really close game, and I think it could go either way, and I just kind of arbitrarily pick Leaky because they did a really good job last week, and I was proud to see them get that win.
You can't say that Team Jamie didn't have an even better week.
I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't, but all I'm saying is I think it's a super close match, and I won't be upset if I get this one wrong. And I had to pick somebody, and they're all VGC players, so like I'm losing all of my go-to ways to just make an easy decision, and I just had to pick.
Fair enough, fam. Alright, I think that does it for us. So here's our picks for this week, so you get a nice overview, and here's everything that's going on. So except from that, do you have any final words, Jason?
I don't. If you go 6-0 again this week, I'm unfriending you in life.
Sweet. So get ready to see another analyst with me next week, and on that note... we will see you. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. You're not gonna say goodbye?
I don't like to say goodbye. Later, guys.